Blue 22.
You are watching Sports and Sorts live on YouTube. That's 75% sports, 25% sorts. And here are your hosts, Shane and the Bry Man.
Yes, it's Monday morning. It is a 9:47. That's about as close as we get to our time. Like, we just do not get on time. What's the matter? My hat is all jacked up. We do not get that close to our time frame very often. And there we go. I think, is my brim all jacked up? I don't know. Something's going on with my hat, but whatever. Monday morning, got a little bit to talk about. Some baseball, some football, and not really football, just comments made around that by a football coach. We also have our Will Smith OFN, which is Once Forever Never. It's a kind of like FMK. And I think that's pretty much it for today. We don't have a large show. If you have any comments or questions or anything or topics that you want us to talk about, go ahead and throw them in the comments section, and we will throw them on and talk about them pretty much right away. But, we also are going to talk briefly about LIV Golf and the PGA Tour, because not something Bryman follows very much, but definitely in the news. I mean, you have, Mike Mad Dog Russo and Colin Cowherd and all these people touching on it, because whether you like it or not, LIV Golf is definitely making some waves. And they are appealing to people's pocketbooks. And Charles Schwartzel won the first event, made $4.7 million for finishing in first, and Rory McIlroy, who won his event, made less than half of that in the PGA Tour event. So I don't know. Bryson DeChambeau and Patrick Reed both signed with LIV Golf. I would say I'm not entirely surprised. I think Pat Perez also signed with LIV Golf. I'm also not surprised, although I do want to touch on it. So let's just get into LIV Golf real quick, right out the gate, and then we'll get into the Yankees. But Pat Perez had come out and said some kind of scathing comments about Phil Mickelson, and how, it was commenting on his gambling debts, and, that's kind of the guy he is. And then all of a sudden he signs, so a little hypocritical. If you ask me. But other than that, they just signed Bryson DeChambeau.
Blood money talks, baby.
I mean, hey. And then, so they just signed Bryson DeChambeau. They signed Patrick Reed. Two people who are major winners on the PGA Tour. They already had Dustin Johnson. They have Phil Mickelson. They have Schwartzel, another PGA, another major winner. So, I mean, they are attracting some clientele, and the field in the PGA Tour is becoming less and less, I want to say, of the best golfers in the world. Because that's what they always say. That's what the Justin Thomas say, and Rory and all of these guys. They want to play against the best of the best, and they also like the history of the majors and all that kind of stuff. Well, there's also this blood money and everything like that. But the PGA Tour is also not necessarily the cleanest. They did a lot of trying to monopolize the sport and not letting the European Tour succeed, and all of these other little mini tours that are out there, just trying to beat them down to basically hoard all the good golfers. And they were doing a good job until they came into a buzzsaw that had just unlimited money. So I don't know where this is going to lead. I don't know how long this tour is going to last, but it is very interesting. And a lot of people that were watching it really enjoyed the team format, the solo. It's kind of solo and team. I particularly thought it was okay. It wasn't the best golf in the world, but I don't always need to see the best golf in the world. I just need to see kind of some things to root for. And I don't know. It was interesting. I watched a little bit. I didn't watch a lot on YouTube. But I definitely watched a little bit. Got to see Phil play quite a bit. He's got a new beard growing in, and
he's wearing a lot of black, and he's got a beard. He's going full Hollywood Hogan.
Yeah,
that's exactly what he's going for.
He's got
and honestly, to be honest, it's a good fit
for
what he's doing. Well, it's a good fit for what he's doing. I have some strong feelings about taking Saudi money. It's not something I'm really on board with. So I'm not going to tell you that Phil Mickelson's not my favorite all-time golfer. He still is. But do I think of him differently? Yep. Yes, I do. Yes, I do. I do. And without any hesitation, I think of him differently.
I can't. I mean, do I think it's correct?
Rory McIlroy. You want to know what Rory McIlroy said about Phil Mickelson's financial backers through LIV? He called them scary motherfuckers.
Yeah.
It's blood money.
That's what Phil Mickelson said.
Yeah.
You just clip the mic and I can't hear you.
So what does that tell you then? I mean,
it
just says, well, I know they're bad, but damn, this is generational money. I'm not walking away from it. That's what's happening.
It is. It is one of those things. So, but the problem is where does the line get drawn? Like, are you willing to say, I'm not going to wear Nike clothing and shoes and all that kind of stuff because it's made by children in China? Are you going to say, I'm not going to, buy Funko Pops because they're made in China and Vietnam? Like, are you willing to, like, where does the line get drawn? Like, yes, this is money coming from there, but what are you going to do with it? You can treat it as a Robin Hood kind of thing. Like, you're willing to give the money to support your family and you're going to donate it to all these different organizations. So you're taking the money from the evil and giving it to the good. Where does the line get drawn? And there's so many grays out there and blurry lines. I'm not sure. I know that I couldn't do it because I'd be worried about for my family. That's where I would draw the line. I would be nervous that it would come back. If I decided I didn't want to play in a tournament, I'd be nervous that something was going to happen. And I don't know I don't know how they feel about all that, but that's where I would get nervous. So I don't think I could do it. But I don't know. I have not been offered $200 million to do this. So
I think my biggest problem is just the hypocrisy. I mean, a lot of these guys were trashing Phil months ago, and now they're signing with this company.
So, and there's tons of hypocrisy, but at the same time, I think the PGA Tour, this is it's showing its head. Like, the PGA Tour isn't all sunshine and rainbows either. Like, the PGA Tour did a lot of shady stuff.
Well, to my knowledge, they didn't saw off the heads of any American journalists, but okay, I understand what you're saying.
But there's a lot of blood money that's involved with it. Like, they've
well, what do you mean blood money? People die on the PGA Tour?
Well, they completely monopolize the sport.
Okay, well, let's make sure we redefine what blood money is.
Well, if you do some research, I'm not going to get into it too much because I don't know, but they have done some really shady stuff.
I don't doubt that, but
I don't know who's died and who's not.
You can say that about every professional sports organization. It's just really shady stuff.
Right.
I mean, the NFL is awful, but we all still watch the product.
Right. Yes.
We turn a blind eye to a lot of shit in the NFL. A lot.
Yeah. I mean, there is just a lot of bad stuff that happens in the background of sports. But
yeah, and to be clear, I'm not saying that I wouldn't necessarily watch one of those tournaments. I'm just saying I would struggle with taking the money. I'd have a really guilty conscience about that.
Yeah, and I'm sure that they do, but there's a certain point where
not enough.
125 to $200 million, because it's reported that Phil got about 200. It's reported that Dustin Johnson got like 150 just to sign. I'm sure Bryson DeChambeau's not far behind. I'm sure Patrick Reed is probably getting like 50 mil.
Here's the thing, like,
they have to do something to basically offset all the sponsors that they're losing. So, and that's what they did. They're just front loading this money, and they're also they're guaranteed to make like $150,000 if you finish in last.
I think one of the issues too is that the people that they're signing are obviously, these are big names. These are all premier golfers who have won at the highest level, and they're also already rich. So it's not like they're signing mid-range guys and being like, "Hey, we're going to give you 20 million guaranteed. This might be more money than you would ever see on the PGA Tour, but we're going to give it to you just to get you over here for whatever reason."
Yeah.
They're paying guys who are already loaded. So it's not, I mean, all those names you just rattled off, those guys are all millionaires, and those guys have all won at the highest level.
There's guys that are in that league in LIV Golf that have never played a PGA Tour event though. Like and this is like life-changing money for them too. And it's so intuitive. I mean, Phil Mickelson is like the 11th most wealthy, or amount of money that they've earned throughout their lifetime. He's the 11th most wealthy athlete of all time. That's how much money he's made.
I would have never thought he would have even been in the top 20.
He's made something like ridiculous, like $600 million.
No, I know. I just think like, wow, that is impressive. I never think of like
his net worth is like 500 million.
I never think of golf having that kind of payout.
No, it does.
So
yeah, I mean, something like in the top 4 or top 5, golf is like the top 3 people. Between Arnie, Jack, and Tiger, that's like 3 of the top 5.
I mean, I guess that makes sense, right? When you think about 6 majors, but he's won over 100 tournaments.
Who? Phil?
Phil, yeah.
No, he's won like 40 something.
Oh, he hasn't won 100?
No, not even close.
I thought he'd won like 100 tournaments or something in his life. Okay.
No, I mean that's like some of the most won tournaments. Sam Snead and Tiger are like up at the top.
Oh, okay.
And that's like around 100.
Okay.
Yeah. So like, even Jack, I think he only won 80 something.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. So, winning 40 something tournaments. I mean, that's each tournament is between $1 million and $2 million. Right. And then on top of that, you get all the sponsorships. Yeah.
I mean, forever.
And he's got lots of top 2s and 3s and stuff like that. That's $1 million or.
I mean, let's be honest. The majority of his money probably came from his endorsement. KPMG comes to mind. Yeah, I mean, that's, KPMG Consulting was his, and they backed out on him, right?
Yeah. Oh, most of them did.
Yeah.
Then you have, and then you also have, I think Tiger, his career winnings on the PGA Tour is 121 million, and Dustin Johnson got 150 just to sign.
I know Tiger is at the tail end of his career, just as Phil is. Mm-hmm. Where does Tiger stand with LIV Golf? I mean, have they approached him?
So there is a report that they offered him high 9 figures?
Wow.
And he declined.
So you're saying like close to $1 billion?
Yeah.
He declined?
Like $750 million or something like that.
Wow.
And he
said
declined.
No?
Yeah.
Good for him. I mean, he doesn't need it, but
no.
I mean, if anybody needs it less, it's him.
Yeah. Yeah. He's like the.
I was gonna say if
he's a top
Phil's
3.
11, where's he? Okay, he's got to be 3, right?
Yeah,
like Jordan. I mean, he's got to be up with Jordan, right?
Yes. So let's see. Wealthiest athletes.
Jordan's got to be 1, right? I mean, just from Nike alone.
Well,
I mean, they still make.
Depends.
They still make some money off Nike.
If you consider wrestling a sport, Vince McMahon Vincent McMahon.
Oh, Vince. Okay.
2.1 bill.
Yeah.
Jordan is 1.6. Woods is 800 million. Beckham 670 million. And then after Beckham, it's Magic with 600.
Really?
Roger Staubach, 600.
Roger Staubach, really?
Yeah. Michael Schumacher. Schumacher.
Yeah. Race car driver.
Yeah, 600 million. Junior Bridgman, I don't even know who that is. 600 million. Floyd Mayweather, 565. Where's Mickelson? Oh, they have. So this must be an old list. Mickelson's at 400 million with at 14. Michael Buffer at 400 million. Holy shit!
That guy took his voice and really, he ran with it.
Cristiano Ronaldo is 500. LeBron James 440, but he's a billionaire now, so this must be an old list.
Yeah, it's got to be old. LeBron's got to be way higher.
He's a billion now. He was the first active billionaire basketball player.
Yeah.
I don't know when this list came out.
That's got to be old, yeah.
It's old. It's an old list. So, So yeah, I mean, it's crazy, man.
Still surprised by Roger Staubach.
Yeah, look at that. They must have invested well.
I know. I mean, listen, I know he's very active in the autograph game, so he's probably made a lot of money from that.
But you have to do something investment wise. You're not like.
Yeah, no, I know.
Yeah.
Right. I mean, you're not making $600 million off of autographs. So.
Unless that's all you do when you wake up till you go to sleep.
It has to be investment because he didn't. I mean, look, as great as he was, Hall of Famer, he didn't get paid a lot in that. He didn't get paid a lot in that time.
Nope.
He must have a lot of other joint ventures and stuff like that.
Mm-hmm.
Anyhow.
Yeah, he made a majority of his money in real estate.
Oh, okay. There it is.
All right, so that's pretty much it for that. I just wanted to touch on LIV Golf real quick. I know I'd be interested to see how most people feel about this. I think, there is just it's very funny just watching the PGA kind of like bash this and how awful they are when they have such a crappy past.
Checkered history.
Yeah, and like they just bash it and they change their narrative depending on what's going on. Like it's so funny. Like it's they're so shady and they're this and that, and then they get a bunch of backlash and they change their tune. Like, I can't believe they're doing this, and then they get a bunch of backlash and they change their tune and change it over to it. It's very silly just watching them and how high and mighty they are, but then I don't know. It's so shady. So I don't know. It's very interesting to see how it all goes. I know they don't obviously like the competition, but it seems like they keep pulling more and more players. And it'll be interesting to see, who signs next week or the week after. Because as of right now, because the PGA Tour doesn't have any of the majors, like that is they're not PGA events. So, and as of right now, all those U.S. Open participants, Phil and Dustin and all these, they're all going to be able to play in the U.S. Open. The Masters hasn't said that they're going to be siding with the PGA and they're going to ban people. So as of right now, everybody can play in the Masters, and everybody can play in the British Open, and everybody can play in the PGA because it's all USGA events, not PGA events. So it'll be very interesting to see all that plays out. If the Masters comes out and says, nope, we aren't accepting anybody from LIV Golf, that changes the tune. That's a big tune changer.
They can't do that though, because there's too many big names, and then it takes away from whoever would actually have won the Masters then.
I don't think they care. The Masters does not care that
much. They should though, because I understand them wanting to draw a line in the sand here.
So I want to see this turn out into like an American League and National League. That's what I ultimately want to see this, because then you're going to have.
So you do kind of want to see.
I've always wanted to see a different league, because I feel like then you're starting to enter the actual real world of sports. Like you're getting like that kind of Ryder Cup situation where it's America versus the European, but you're getting just because you need that. You need the one side versus the other side, and you have an ultimate goal, and that's where the majors come, and you can root for your side versus their side. And I feel like that just amplifies it and takes it to the next level.
But if the PGA is blocking them out, where's that mutual meeting where they're
the majors?
But if the PGA is blocking them out, they can't play in the majors.
No, they can play in the majors. The PGA they have zero say over the major championships.
Oh, okay.
Because it's all USGA. Oh. They're not PGA Tour sanctioned events.
So what you need is for the USGA not to.
And they can't. They're not. Any. They've already said they're allowing Dustin Johnson and Phil to play in the U.S. Open.
Well, in that case, yeah, it could make.
But the Masters is also not a PGA event. But they could come out and say, "We don't give a crap what you do, U.S. Open and British Open and all that. We're not going to allow you in unless you're in the PGA." Mm. They can do that. So it'll be very interesting to see how that turns out. Because if the PGA, but I think it just would be good for golf to have a separate league that is competing and has high caliber players, not necessarily Saudi backed or whatever. It's unfortunate that that's the way it is, but I would like to see two leagues going head to head, like the American League and the National League, or, the NFL, the NFC and the AFC, having that, and they meet up in there, or, they meet up in a separate kind of team-based event where you take the top 5 golfers and the top 5 golfers and you go head to head and see who wins. I don't know. Something along those lines. I think that would create lots of like a Barstool Sports kind of 5-on-5, this league versus that league. You have trades that can be made and all that kind of stuff. That I feel like would be kind of cool. But I just don't know if golf, stuck in their old ways, wants to do that. So we'll see. We'll find out. I don't know. It's very interesting, but it's also kind of crazy too. All right. So let's get into our first topic of baseball and the state of the Yankees.
The state of the Yankees.
All right. State of the Yankees. We have Yankees staying hot. Won 9 of their last 10. Matty Carpenter has hit the fountain of youth.
7 RBIs. I can't figure it out too. He's got the biggest, slowest looping swing I've ever seen.
But he's had that forever.
I know. It looks like he's swinging in slow motion, and I'm like, okay, if you just throw the ball anything north of 95, he should be able to hit it. But
he finds a way to get the bat on the ball.
He doesn't hit cheapies either. I mean, he hits.
And he fits the Yankees mold of walk or hit a home run
or strikeout.
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh yeah. Absolutely.
And hopefully he stays hot. I mean, that mustache is looking fire. Like I have always been kind of a Matt Carpenter fan. Like the way he plays.
I love Salsa. I mean, that was his nickname, Salsa, when he was with the Cardinals. Man, I loved him.
I like the way he plays. He's gritty. He comes to the Yankees, completely, gets the mustache going. He's got that fiery mustache. He's got the like smooth, long swing.
Again, this is one of those areas. And look, as much as I don't like Brian Cashman, I will give the devil his due. This is one of those areas where he excels at. He can pull guys off the scrap heap who can come in and contribute. And he struggles in other areas, but it's very obvious that this is like Brian Cashman's niche. He can see stuff in guys who appear to be done, or just guys who, not even necessarily guys who are older and done, but guys who, you just wouldn't even think anything, like, oh, okay, he seems like a kind of middling average baseball player. And then all of a sudden they get to the Yankees and they bloom. Now, Matt Carpenter could, of course, crash back to earth very, very quickly. But what I think is kind of stunning is that Matt Carpenter, he had to pass through waivers and get to the Yankees had the very last licks, and they actually took him.
Yeah.
And not only did they take him, they didn't stash him in the minors. He got onto the big league team, and he's hit 7 or 8 home runs now as a Yankee.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, aren't his numbers actually already better or almost better than Gallo's? It's super embarrassing, by the way.
It's close. As far as RBI totals, I mean, close.
And home runs, even.
Maybe.
Pretty close. Nah, maybe not home runs. No, I think because Gallo's still managed to, luck into, I mean, he's just so big that Gallo's going to run into, a few home runs. But, yeah, it's pretty crazy, though, that Carpenter has stepped into this lineup and actually contributed at the level that he has. And it makes for now. I know Gallo has started to hit better too, but please, Yankee fans, don't fall into the trap of thinking he's back. He's not back. That guy is an albatross. He has not been good since he's been here. That guy's been on the Yankees for like 4.5 months. He's not been
Joey
good.
Gallo has 15 RBIs and Matt Carpenter has 13. He has Gallo has 8 home runs.
In fairness to Joey Gallo, Carpenter amassed half of those yesterday. So
and Gallo has 8 home runs and Carpenter has 6.
It's bad. I mean, that's
154 at bats to 24 at bats.
That's embarrassing. That's embarrassing. Also, those are literally the best 24 at bats of Matt Carpenter's life.
No, he had some really, really good years. But yes,
no,
he
I'm saying, but he
incredibly hot.
24 at bats. Come on.
He's incredibly hot right now. Yes.
Has anybody ever done that in 24 at bats?
There was something.
He had a 7
It's the
RBI
hottest.
game yesterday.
It's the hottest like start to a Yankee career. I think it was like something like that.
Oh, it's unreal.
Yeah, it's been.
I mean, it's like Shane Spencer crazy.
I mean, it's better than that, which is the crazy. Yeah. I mean, 10 for 24.
Listen,
13 RBIs and 6 bombs.
Listen, you can say whatever you want, but right now everything is rolling in Yankee land. It's all good. The pen is good. The starting rotation continues to be good, despite the actual kind of semi hiccups they had out in Minnesota, where like a normal Yankee team, or I say a normal Yankee team, I mean a Yankee team in the past 5 or so years, they'd have easily lost 2 or 3 in Minnesota there, but they won 2 or 3 with the starting rotation not pitching all that well, but they won it because the bats came alive. Mm-hmm. And if this Yankee team now, again, there's a lot of big ifs here, because the thing with me with this Yankee team is, I'm sorry, I'm going to remain skeptical with this Yankee team until I see it in October, until they win a World Series.
You don't think Matt Carpenter is going to keep this up and hit about 182 home runs by the end of the year?
Not only, I mean, listen, if Matt Carpenter is on the postseason roster, I'll be a little surprised.
Yeah.
And mostly because I still think the Yankees better not rest on their laurels here come trade deadline time. You better still be looking at a guy like Andrew Benintendi. You better be. Because if you're not...
That would be smart to do.
And you want to know what? The biggest test for this Yankee team...
We'll take Benintendi, you take Gallo and Hicks.
But the biggest test for this Yankee team is coming in these next couple weeks, because you've got Tampa, Toronto, and the Astros. I think you've got Tampa twice, Toronto, and the Astros over the next 2 weeks. We're going to learn a lot about this team, especially against the Astros. Mm-hmm. You're going to learn a lot. Because, we've seen them play, well, they've only played Tampa 4 times and they've split with them. Although I will say these series against Tampa are important, because Tampa has been a problem for the Yankees the last handful of years. Mm-hmm.
They've been a problem for the Yankees in the last 30 years. It feels like they've been a problem. They've been a thorn in their side for last 15 years.
It seems like it, because they've been pesky.
And before that, it was the Angels.
And because the Yankees can't get Kevin Kiermaier out to save their lives. So, but I mean, except for the last series, they actually controlled them in that 4-game series. But that 4-game series, in which the Rays still took 2 of 4, though. So this is these next 12 to 15 days for the Yankees are really big. I mean, you've got an off day today. Then you've got Tampa in the Bronx for 3. Mm-hmm. And then I think it's I don't know. It's Tampa, Houston, Toronto, Tampa, I think, something like that. I mean, maybe I'm mixing the Toronto Houston series up, but those are your next 4 series. So you've got Tampa, you've got, sandwiched in between Tampa, you've got Houston and Toronto.
So they have a 3-game series versus Tampa.
Right.
And then
it's
a
Houston,
3-game
right?
3-game series against Blue
Toronto.
Jays.
Okay, then it's Houston.
So it's Rays, Blue Jays, Rays, Astros.
Oh, okay. I'm sorry. I thought they were sandwiched in between.
Nope.
Okay.
3 games Rays, 3 games Blue Jays, 3 games Rays, 4 games Astros. That is and then they have to play the Athletics, and then they have a rescheduled Astros game on the 30th. So they have the next, basically, let's see, what is that? 5, 10, 15, about next 17 games straight. No days off. And it's all against elite teams.
Well, except
for the A's. They have a 3 games against the A's, which A's have some good pitching. So
yeah, although they've traded a lot of their good pitching too before the season. So listen, there's not look, as negative as I am, as pessimistic as I am, there's not a lot bad I can say about the Yankees. I mean, this is
they need to play 500 ball over this stretch.
Yeah, basically. And they would still finish almost 30 games over.
Yeah. Over this stretch through June, they need, because they don't have a day off for the rest of June after today. They have to play 500 ball to kind of hold on to their lead. If they could play, and that would be tremendous. That's a tremendous. You're going this right here. If you can go 500 ball, that's a great end of June against those teams.
I'll say this to get back to some of my pessimism. I still think the Mets are better built to win in October. than the Yankees.
Well, I mean, it depends on when DeGrom
they
comes
also
back.
have the better manager. They have the better
when
manager.
DeGrom comes back, see how he is.
And I mean, they've been basically without DeGrom and Max for the season.
Mm-hmm.
Tells you your best pitchers.
Yeah.
So
when they come back,
to reason things are going to get better.
But like you said, yes, things should get better. But we'll see how they come back after injury.
But they're already good. Like the Mets are already a really good team.
Right, but I don't know. This is like an unproven postseason team.
But so is this Yankee team, really.
It is, but there's a lot of people who've been in the postseason on this team.
They've been in it, yes. They haven't succeeded in it.
Rizzo has. He's won one.
Yes, Riz has.
And he's one of your kind of clubhouse leaders.
Oh, he's
Carp.
Fantastic.
I mean, if he maintains, I mean, as of right now,
I can't imagine him on the postseason run. Well, I don't know. I shouldn't say that.
You can't say that because you need a guy in the utility role.
Yeah, I guess you could. Yeah, I guess you could.
Other than DJ, like you need the kind of balance, and DJ hasn't even been playing like himself yet. I mean, he starts swinging the bat.
I don't want to be like, I'm trying not to be a prisoner of the moment with these Yankees, with guys like Carpenter, even guys with Trevino. As much as I love Jose Trevino, who doesn't, right? I mean, my God, he's just like a bundle of joy. Yeah. But I mean, come on. I mean, like they were talking about, like on the post game yesterday, they were talking about like how Trevino needs to be starting in the All-Star game, and I'm like,
well, that's settled down.
Easy.
Yeah, no.
Easy. No. Like the catching position for the Yankees is still a question mark.
Yeah.
Could we not be putting him in the All-Star game?
No.
If you want to talk about Nestor Cortez starting the All-Star game, I'm all ears. Can we back off on?
That's
Trevino?
an argument to be made.
Just a second. The guy's had a hot month.
Yeah.
Let's just take it easy. Take a breath here. Yeah. I mean, and I love Jose Trevino. I'm not trying to throw water on this thing, okay?
Yeah.
But let's just be realistic.
Take a breath. Yeah.
Take a breath. Take a breath.
Yeah.
But listen, there's not a lot bad you can say. I mean, there really isn't. I mean, the starting pitching all year has been healthy and very good. It's been the best part of the team. Mm-hmm. I am encouraged by the fact that although they are a home run hitting team and they lead the majors in home runs, I think by a lot, they don't necessarily, it doesn't seem to me as much in the past that they are relying on the long ball to win.
Right.
As much as they used to. It feels to me more
not every game's like yesterday's game.
Yeah. But even yesterday they scored runs without the home run.
Right, but there was a lot of home runs.
Oh no, there were a lot. Sure. I mean, it was obscene. But
when Higgy hits a home run, the ball's flying out of the park.
He hit, and then he hit one off the Ephus pitch. So he had two home runs. Yeah. One of them was off an Ephus pitch. But yes. I mean, thank God for Higgy. He finally got that first home run in the team. I'll say this. The team looks to me like there's a lot of synergy. There's good chemistry. They seem to like each other.
Well, it's tough to not like each other when you're
winning.
Yeah.
Winning does that. Winning breeds that sort of environment, I mean, there's a lot of positive chemistry when you're, camaraderie is easy to build on when you're a winner.
For sure.
But we'll see. Again, I say it all the time. The crucible of October will really prove what this team is and what they're not, because they could go out in that first round. You could be like, oh, see, not built for the postseason, built for the regular season, not built for this. Because again, what's the one thing we both know? When you get to the postseason, you're facing the best pitching that there is. Mm-hmm. And good pitching always beats good hitting. And I need to see it. And I'm sorry, I need to see him win.
And your best hitter, who's batting .318 with an on-base percentage of .391, has 64 strikeouts. And that is only 3 behind Joey Gallo, who has 67. Aaron Judge has 64 Ks. So he is not afraid to swing and miss.
And all I hear is that, we need to just throw a blank check at this guy. I'm sorry, I'm not there. I'm not there with Aaron Judge. Let's remember the guy's 30.
Yeah,
and he's 6'7". He's not built for the long term. He's not built for 10 years.
The offer they gave him was a very fair offer.
Yeah, of course it was.
And I would be fine with him breaking some other team's bank and never making the playoffs again.
Yep. Listen, I'm going to say it again. I'm going to say it all year with the team. This is going to be consistent with me. I'm not going to be a prisoner of the moment. And I understand right now what their record is. I'm looking at it. I know it's very 1998-esque.
I can see them giving him a blank check if he continues to do this throughout the playoffs. and he like has some big hits and big home runs in the playoffs.
So let's address that.
Yeah.
Let's address that. If he's a monster in October,
yeah,
then yeah.
Yeah.
Whatever he wants. I mean,
then he's going to get whatever he wanted.
Yeah. If he owns October
mm-hmm.
and he gives he puts a championship, he puts 28 in the trophy case, fine.
Yep.
Show it to me first.
Yeah.
Because until then, I'm sorry, I'm not giving a 30-year-old guy a 10-year contract for $400 million. That's just not happening.
Indeed, Reno.
I mean, it's not my money. I mean, some people would be like, well, what do you care?
Mm-hmm.
Well, I mean, it may not be my money, but those expenses get passed on to us. So nothing's
mm-hmm.
free.
Word up.
Especially as we know in this economy, nothing is free right now.
So. No. By the way, I did a good job. I filled up my tank the other day. $69.69.
Nice. Did you take a picture of that?
I did.
Of course you
Had to do it. Had to do it. I was like, oh, I'm not ending at $69.80. I mean, and 50
my
cents.
OCD, I can't do that with my OCD. Like I have to go on it has to be like a rounded dollar amount at zero.
Oh, see, I'm fine with it being that 69.69, 50.50.
I filled up. Guess how much it cost to fill up my wife's minivan the other day?
Oh God, a minivan?
Yeah,
like $100.
I mean, you're within 20, $81.
Yeah. Oh, you do. You use regular too. Yeah. So, but our tanks are only like 12 gallons. So.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, but we have to do at least mid-grade.
She's got like a 16-gallon tank in that beast.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah.
It's $81. Yeah. Now she doesn't drive a lot, so that will last her a while. But still, man. Whew.
Here, ready? It's faint, but I'll send it to you. Ready? Where are you?
Okay.
There's Brian, Christina.
I'm not really sure that there's much else to talk about with the Yankees, though.
No.
They're a hot team.
This coming next week, we'll have some stuff to talk about.
Oh, the end of next week.
Yeah.
I would say so. Not 2 Mondays, basically from now. Yeah. I think we'll have some very.
I mean, even by next week. I mean, they're going to have played 2 big series.
There it is, 69-69. You did it.
Yeah, that's right.
You did it.
You know it. That was from empty to full.
I'm really proud of you.
All right, let's get into the next topic. Speaking of because we just got done talking with some LIV Golf and some shady stuff. Let's get into the NFL and some Jack Del Rio comments. Oh my gosh! Oh, the Commanders leader.
Well, he's the defensive coordinator.
Yeah, I know.
Ron Rivera's So let me just give you a little background here as to what happened. So, I guess Norm Allen of the Brookings Institute, he was promoting an article that he had on Twitter explaining, about the upcoming, hearings, the January 6th hearings. Mm-hmm. And I guess Jack Del Rio was triggered by something. And in his reply, Jack Rio said, "Would love to understand the whole story about why the summer of riots, looting, burning, and destruction of personal property is never discussed, but this is," with like 3 question marks. Well, let me help you out here, Jack. So let's address that first. First of all, the summer of looting and riots was heavily discussed, and it wasn't exactly the prettiest thing. Mm-hmm. Well, let me tell you this. If you were a black man or woman in this country, and you had been oppressed, depressed, suppressed for, hundreds of years, do you think maybe knocking over a Target is really that completely out of line? I know it wasn't. Listen, I'm not one to endorse violence. I'm one to endorse peaceful protesting. I understand that the summer wasn't exactly peaceful, but you know what though, Jack Del Rio, what he just told you right there with that tweet, that is white privilege at its absolute peak, because that's the beauty of white privilege. We don't know what it's like to be a black man or a black woman in this country, or any man or woman, child of color in this country. You have no fucking clue, because you roll up to your fucking Starbucks and you order your fucking, mocha chocolata in a venti cup with your fucking ice and your soy milk, and you have no fucking clue what it's like to be in those shoes. So Jack Del Rio just showed you in that tweet what white privilege actually is. That's what it is. That's what it is. No, listen, I know that summer was violent, right? Looting, a lot of destruction of property. It obviously wasn't great, but you know what? The George Floyd murder was the straw that broke the camel's back, as if slavery wasn't fucking bad enough. But you know what? I'm sorry. I really can't. I'm not gonna even attempt to put myself inside the shoes of a black person or a Latino person or an Asian person in this country, because they face the kind of shit that people like you and me don't have to face, just based on the color of our skin. You and I walk into a store and nobody bats an eye at us, right?
Mm-hmm.
That's white privilege. You know what I mean? So Jack, that's the thing. You don't understand. You don't understand the oppression of an entire race for hundreds of years. It's still happening. As much as things have improved in this country over the last few hundred years, they really haven't. They're better, but the problem still exists. And then, so then he's asked about it at a press conference, and he makes this reference. He refers to the January 6th insurrection where 7 people died, including a Capitol officer. He called it a dust-up. Called it the dust. He's like, we'll talk about all this, but he's like, we won't talk about this, but you want to talk about the dust-up at the Capitol? Okay. So again, now 7 people died. Most of them were people that Jack Del Rio actually agrees with. Most of them were Donald Trump supporters that died. You had the one cop who died. Mm-hmm. I think it was Officer Sicknick. And then most of the others, most of the rest, I believe, were Trump supporters, MAGA people, insurrectionists, traitors, if you want to call them. Let's just call them what they are, traitors, treasonous traitors, mm-hmm. People who attempted to overthrow a democratic election in which there was no voter fraud. So then Jack Del Rio says, I made comments earlier today in referencing the attack that took place on the United States Capitol on January 6th. By the way, he didn't write this. On January 6th, 2021, referencing that situation as a dust-up was irresponsible and negligent, and I am sorry. I stand by my comments condemning violence in communities across the country. I say that while also expressing my support as an American citizen for peaceful protest in our country. I have fully supported all peaceful protests in America. I love, respect, and support all my fellow coaches, players, and staff that I work with and respect their views and opinions. Well, okay. So first of all, you didn't write that. The publicist wrote it. Mm-hmm. And then Ron Rivera fined him $100,000 for the comment instead of firing him. And I will tell you why I'm really happy that he only did that and didn't fire him. Because if you fired Jack Del Rio for that, you would have made him into a martyr. And that's the last thing that side needs is martyrs. And the whole, and that brings up the whole cancel culture thing. Mm-hmm. You know what? Jack, you didn't get canceled. You canceled yourself on Twitter. He deleted his Twitter account, but that was of your own doing. But I'm glad he didn't get fired because, look, was it a stupid comment? Yes, it was really stupid. I mean, I'm sorry. I don't know how I don't know how anyone could look at any of the footage of that and call that a dust-up. Mm-hmm. A dust-up is a fight, like a fight, that two people get into and then walk away from.
Yes,
that's a dust up. When bodies are left behind, when 7 people are dead, that's not a dust up. What would he call a shooting at a school where 19 kids died?
Yeah,
or a fracas? What would he call it? An unfortunate event?
Yeah.
Or as Greg Abbott could say, it could have been worse. I mean, what do we call that, Jack? If 7 people dying on the Capitol trying to prevent the democratic process from taking place in America is a dust up, then what's a school shooting?
I don't know.
What's a school shooting to a guy like this? But again, I'm glad he didn't get fired because that would have martyred him. And then he really would have had a platform. He would, because instead, why don't we just let him stick to coaching, the Washington Commanders defensive football unit? Mm-hmm. Let's just let him do that job. Now, I think he's got an interesting conversation with some. Listen, NFL is 75% African American, so I think you're going to have some interesting conversations in that locker room. Maybe not. Maybe some guys don't want to ruffle any feathers or, cause any dissension. I'll tell you what, though. If I was a black man playing for that team, offense, defense, special teams, I don't care. I'm in that fucking guy's face. I'm in his face. Dust up. Fucking dust up.
Yeah. I mean, he is clearly definitely feeling himself a little bit. I don't know. He's definitely a white man with privilege. I don't know.
Well, and look,
it's just
like I didn't actually even have an issue with him talking about the event, but to call it a dust up, like that's where it went wrong. And actually, because what was interesting is that as he was making the comments at the podium, most of it sounded rather
clearly the dude just watched Fox News. That's what he does.
But I mean, like he sounded like at first before he said the dust up term, it was a somewhat eloquent response. I mean, he's not a big dumb Neanderthal. I mean, he's well spoken. It sounded normal, and then he said dust up, and it was like, oh, come on. That is, first of all, that's extremely disrespectful to the families of people who died.
Yeah,
and I'm including the Trump followers who passed away. They I'm sure they didn't go there to die.
Yeah.
So, and I know the police officer, the Capitol officer, certainly wasn't thinking that was going to be his last day on Earth. Having to defend the Capitol from rioters who wanted to overturn listen, that's the peaceful transition of power in America is actually one of the things that is so beautiful. It's like hockey players shaking hands at the end of a series. It's just it's a wonderful tradition that we have. Mm-hmm. And up until this past election, it was a constant.
Yeah, it is.
I don't know.
And it's not getting any better in the short term.
When people look, I got no problem with these people having. By the way, there are a lot of people on Twitter who I follow and who follow me, and I know they're on the other side. And you know what? Because I'm not afraid of an alternate opinion, I don't block all of them. I'll block them when they get disrespectful. Yeah. But like, there's this one guy. I won't even say his name. But there's this one guy I know. He's a Yankee fan. He and I communicate all the time. He's heavy on the other side. I know he is. Mm-hmm. But you know what? The politics hasn't come up. So it's not that I'm willing to overlook it. But if we're just going to talk about the Yankees, then I really don't need to have a beef with you about politics. Right. Like I can separate these things. I mean, I'm a lunatic. I'm not a complete lunatic. So like, I'm not going to just jump in on someone, I will tell you though, I don't know if you watched any of those hearings
clips here and there.
It was emotional. It brings up a lot of, dude, we were attacked by our own people.
Yeah.
On our own soil.
It's crazy.
And people died.
It is freaking crazy.
But we have a democratic that's one of the beauties of this country. We have this great, wonderful free election. It's a democratic process, and it's supposed to be trustworthy. And a lot of people died because one guy said it wasn't. Mm-hmm. Even though Fox News reported so many of this stuff, like they were calling states that were, that went in Biden's favor. I mean, we don't need to rehash all this, but again, Jack Del Rio. Ultimately, I'm glad he didn't get fired. I don't want him to be canceled. I want him to have to live with what he did. Mm-hmm. Now, also, here's the other thing. That $100,000 fine, we all know that's not coming out of his pocket. The Commanders are paying that. They'll pay it, and they'll give it to charity. But that money is not coming out of his pocket. I don't even know what that guy makes, but $100,000 would probably hurt him a little bit.
Oh, yeah.
So, but he's not paying it. Yeah. Come on.
Right.
Daniel Snyder's paying that shit. Mm-hmm. I mean, first of all, Ron Rivera fired him, like your own boss fined you, and then the owner's going to probably end up paying. I'm sure.
Maybe.
I'm sure Daniel Snyder dictated that fine to Ron Rivera and said, "Here's what I'm willing to pay."
Right. Yeah. Right.
And also, the other reason I'm glad he didn't get fired. Look, that's the beauty of freedom of speech, right? It's our First Amendment. So yes, he has the right to say those things. There is some consequence to it, but he didn't lose his job. Mm-hmm. And I'm glad he didn't. I really am. Genuinely glad he didn't lose his job, because I don't want him to become a martyr for that. Yeah. I don't want him to take over Twitter with, and then start, turning into like Kevin Sorbo or something like that. Oh, by the way. Oh my God, Kevin Sorbo.
Hercules.
Holy crap. That guy, this is like, remember how I was saying to you earlier, like I think before we went live, that like we don't have a monopoly on crazy in this country, but then there are guys like that kind of make me think we do.
He is next level for sure.
Yeah, all right, he's something.
Let's get into our last topic today. After talking all that, we're going to get into the wheel.
What do you want then?
Yeah. OFN of Will Smith movies. This was actually a little harder for me than doing like a Mount Rushmore. I feel like Mount Rushmore would be a little bit easier.
Yeah, I think so too.
Because picking 4 good movies is pretty easy. Yeah. And I have a lot of movies of Will Smith's career that, and we don't have to touch on what happened at the Oscars and all that kind of stuff. Everybody knows
it's not relevant.
This is something that just kind of like we had put on the wheel, and it just happens to be.
It's not. Yeah, that's a dust up.
Yes.
The dust up at the Oscars. It was kind of funny. It almost organically came out of my mouth. The dust up at the Oscars is not. That's a dust up.
Yeah. Yes. So this is a little bit easier for me. Yeah. I mean, this is a little harder for me than doing the Mount Rushmore. The Mount Rushmore would be a little bit easier, and that might be something we add to the list at some point, because I think he has had a career that he could very easily have a Mount Rushmore of greats. I mean, he's got some really, really good movies. So let's get into this. We'll get into our Once, Forever, Never. Which one do you want to start with? Just go in order. Once, Forever, Never.
Yeah.
Okay.
Sure.
How about this? How about you start with your once?
This was the hardest for me.
I'll start with the forever in the next group.
The OF was the hardest part for me, easily, because I just couldn't decide which one I wanted once and which one I wanted forever. Mm-hmm. It was practically a coin flip. It really was. I just couldn't. I had the hardest time deciding between these two movies. But for me, and when I tell you what the once was, you'll probably be able to figure out what the forever was.
Okay.
But for me, the once was Men in Black.
Really?
Yeah. I love MIB.
And Men in Black is great.
I love Men in Black. It was not exact. I mean, obviously, it was not a coming out party for him. He had already been established.
It is like the quintessential movie of like the late 90s, early 2000s. Like that's kind of that kind of movie. It was just like fun action, aliens, but like, had a good story around it that you could kind of sink your teeth into.
Right.
But nothing too serious. It was just a complete popcorn flick.
Yeah, totally great. Yes, that was a really good way to sum it up. A great 90s popcorn flick. But and then it spawned quite the series, actually. Mm-hmm. Because MIB2 was good. MIB3 was pretty decent. That last one was not good. The one with Thor and
Chris Hemsworth.
The one with Thor and Valkyrie. Yeah.
I actually watched that, and I didn't mind it. It wasn't as bad to me as like in the sequel to Independence Day. That was a train wreck for me. But the Men in Black, I watched that and kind of smiled from time to time. Yeah.
But I love MIB. I love the story. I love the sort of the dichotomy, the unique dichotomy, if you will, of Tommy Lee Jones and Will Smith in that movie. Two completely, new school, old school. It worked so well, and those two had such great on-screen chemistry with each other. It's just a fun movie, and it's a movie that I can watch whenever it's on, it's a lot of fun. And like I said, it led to a really good sequel. And you had two really great movies there between the first and the second one. Again, the third one was pretty solid. But just a fun 90s flick, and I love it. And it was so different too, because it took aliens at it, it was a different spin. It was a comedic spin on it, as opposed to, just the whole ID4 kind of thing,
Yeah.
But anyways, that's my O.
Yeah. My O is, I like the Men in Black movies. There was a period of time in my life where it was like my go-to fall asleep movie. Men in Black 2. I would sit there, I'd turn it on, and I would fall asleep at one point in the movie, and I would just fall asleep and pass out. That was like it was like my ritual for a while. But that is not, the Men in Black franchise did not make it into my list at all. But one of the, not a meme circulating about the Will Smith after this whole, when he welcomed Chris Rock to Earth. And so that is where mine goes. This is just I know that this is probably the movie that's going to make you forever, but I don't know for sure. And that is Independence Day. For me, my once is Independence Day. I absolutely love that. It has that iconic, not by Will Smith, but that presidential speech that my brother can rattle off at any given point. And it is such a fun movie. There's like high stakes in it. And another one, great popcorn flick, but also a script that you can kind of, sink your teeth into, and just a really fun movie. So Independence Day is my once. Yep.
And my forever is Independence Day. So you went from funny alien to serious alien.
Yeah.
And that's just an epic movie. That is an iconic all-time summer hit.
Mm-hmm. Very Avengers. Avengers kind of stole some of from like this whole thing as well. Like there is a little bit of kind of crossing streams there.
And again, it's just an iconic movie. I mean, I don't really think there's a lot I need to say about Independence Day for you to, it's an all-time movie. It's an all-time money-making movie. Mm-hmm. Again, like not that it took place throughout the whole movie like Men in Black, but I loved the kind of camaraderie there with him and Jeff Goldblum. Mm-hmm. Just totally different kind of characters, Also, of course, I mean, as sad as it was, Harry Connick Jr. was so great. Let's kick the tires and light the fires, baby. Mm-hmm. I mean, I love Harry Connick. First of all, I love Harry Connick Jr. Uh-huh. He's just a special human being and an incredibly talented human being because he can act. Mm-hmm. He's a good actor. I mean, I've seen him perform live. Mm-hmm. He's great. He is, by the way, that guy is so entertaining in person. I mean, the voice. That's not even, but he is so funny. Oh my God, he's funny. Like he tells stories on stage too. Harry Connick Jr., if you could go see that guy in concert, do it. I mean, the music is great. But man, he's a funny dude too. But yeah, Independence Day was hard though. This was hard for me. It was a real flip of the coin between those two for me because I love both of them almost equally, but I give a slight edge. I give a slight edge to Independence Day because that movie was just, it was just incredible. It is so incredible to watch on the screen too.
Mm-hmm. My forever is Bad Boys 2.
Okay. I knew Bad Boys was getting onto your list.
Bad Boys 2 is the woo-saw. Everything about that movie is so incredibly entertaining. It is hilarious. It is action-packed, and I absolutely love that movie. It is my favorite Bad Boys movie. I love Bad Boys 2. It is not a critic favorite by any shape or means. I think it's like, where is it? It's way down here. Bad Boys 2, a 23 by critics, a 78% by audience. Big discrepancy. I love that movie so much. It is so funny. So that is that. I mean, there are so many movies that I wanted to put in this list because I love the movie Focus with him and Margot Robbie. Mm-hmm. I love that movie. I absolutely love it. I love the twists and turns. I like that whole story.
The honorable mention list.
Yeah, definitely. It would have definitely come close. Probably might even have been on my Mount Rushmore. And that's another one that wasn't like, 56% by critics, 53% by audience.
Yeah.
I love that movie though. I think that's a very well done movie. So yeah, that's what we got there. And then let's get into our never.
This one was so easy for me.
It's easy for me too.
Because I've never seen the movie. And do you want to know why I've never seen the movie? Because I fucking refuse to see it. And do you want to know why? Because I am still bitter to this day. This is not anything against Will Smith. This is against me. I am bitter to this day against this movie. I don't know if you know this. Because I had this exact idea for a movie. And I never put pen to paper. So I'm really pissed at myself. I'm not pissed at anybody else but me here. Like, I'm not bitter towards Will Smith. I'm bitter towards myself. Okay. And I refuse to watch this movie because I don't want to see how it actually plays out on screen. I had the same idea for the movie that Will Smith had. Now, in this one, it was Will Smith and Kevin James. I had it as I went with lesser names. I had it as Dylan McDermott and Jason Alexander. Okay. But the movie is called Hitch.
Yeah.
And
it's a good movie.
And I had when I tell you I had that exact idea for a film. And now again, I've not seen the movie, so I don't know how it played out. But the premise of the movie, it was my idea years before it, and I just never did anything. So I'm so bitter that I just refuse to watch it. That's my never.
It's too bad. It's a good movie.
It's fun. Well, I'll never know.
It's fun. I like it.
Because I'm going to be 6 feet under and never having seen that movie. It's never going to happen.
You could very easily make your own. They are doing that now all time. You could just make sure that it's not word for word.
I know there's no original ideas anymore. Right? Well, I guess
there's some original ideas.
I could claim that I could just say, hey, wait, I never saw the movie, so you can't. I can't. I never bought it. I've never bought it on DVD. I don't own it digitally. I've never accessed it streaming.
Never rented it.
So never. Nope.
No Blockbuster.
Nope. No sir.
All right. Well, my never is a movie that I have yet to get through. I've tried 3 separate times, couldn't do it, and that is the movie After Earth with him and his son.
Yeah, it's not good.
It is terrible. I've never gotten through it.
Yeah,
never could get through it. And it was just like one of those that I was just completely bored with. Definitely, it's just so cringy.
It just felt like a passion project. Oh, I get to work with my son.
Yeah,
like that's what it was.
But yeah, it's not a good. I've never been able to get through it. I've only gotten about halfway through.
It's not a good movie, so.
That and I want to see like Gemini Man for that. Like, the audience loved it, but the critics hated it.
Yeah, I still have not watched that either. Actually, yeah.
It's very interesting, but the CGI on it looked terrible.
Yeah, it didn't look good.
So
from what I could tell,
but like movies like Spies in Disguise, that was great.
I still haven't watched that either.
Oh my God, it's so good.
That was like a pandemic movie.
Yeah, and it was a lot of fun. Yeah. But there's so many good movies that could have made the list, and just once forever never. Can't fit them all. Get 3 movies.
Real quick, my 3 honorable mentions. Mm-hmm. Wild Wild West.
Ah, wow, it's a good movie.
You and I both love it.
It's good. I don't care what everybody says.
Oh, I don't care either. Bad Boys.
Bad Boys, great movie.
And then this one, which I just saw recently, which is phenomenal, King Richard. Wow,
I haven't seen it yet.
Man, I'll tell you. Listen, you can. I know that I think a lot of our opinions about Will Smith are tarnished right now, rightfully so. But the motherfucker can act. He can act, man. King Richard is good.
Far from his Fresh Prince days, where he was like mouthing the words that every other actor was saying.
Yeah, King Richard is so great. Watch it. Really, please watch it. It's such a good flick.
Yeah, man. I do want to see it. I do want to see it. I will watch it.
I think it's on HBO Max or something. So
I'm sure
that's where I watched it, because I was like, oh, okay,
cool,
it's there.
I'll definitely check it out. All right, now got to get into.
He was doing it.
What the heck happened? Yeah.
I mean, Wheel of Destiny.
Wheel of Destiny. I don't know what it's on.
Mount Rushmore of comedy sequels. Didn't we do that or no?
No.
Oh, we didn't.
No.
We didn't do it.
We did not do it.
That's gonna be tough.
Man, it almost landed on Will Smith again. We got to get a new actor in there. Pick an actor.
Off the top of my head.
Yeah. Man, come on, dude.
Hold on. Give me a second. I want this to be good.
Oh, okay.
I want to make it tough.
Mm. So much silence.
I'm sorry. I'm trying here. Hold on a second here.
Play some music in the background.
Yeah, seriously. We need some girl from Ipanema. Hey, how about the guy behind you, Russell Crowe?
Crow, huh? Oh man, he doesn't have like a huge catalog. All right.
Oh, you know what though? It's more than you think.
Is it 2 L's or 1 L?
2.
I mean, he's got some good moves. Don't get me wrong.
I think that'll be a fun one.
You know who should be on there eventually? Maybe coming up soon? Maybe RDJ?
Robert Downey Jr. That would be a fun one for me because there would be a couple there that I would be. Let's make that the next one.
We won't remember.
Okay. Maybe
we can do a Mount Rushmore of RDJ.
Yeah, why don't you do that?
All right, so
just add it. Just swap out Will Smith's with that then.
No, because we have to do the comedy. We have to do the
no. I
comedy
mean like.
sequels.
Oh, I'm sorry. We did OFN of Russell Crowe. Okay. Yeah, right. Okay.
So I gotta go.
See, actually, I think that will. See, you know what? OFN for Russell Crowe is going to be difficult for me because I actually think I already know what the O and the F are. It's just a question of which one am I putting where. Because the truth is, I know that one of them I've probably watched more than the other, or as much as the other. It's going to be tough. I think I know which way I'll lean, but it's going to be really tough. But I know what the O and the F are. The N will be hard for me for Russ.
But we're not doing that anyway.
We're doing Mount Rushmore comedy
Mount Rush.
We may never land on that fucker, so who the hell cares? Yeah.
All right.
That's gonna be fun. Sequels. That's gonna be fun.
All right, that's pretty much it for our show today. Thank you guys for watching, listening, however you took this in. Hopefully both. Make sure you do the whole smashing stuff, like subscribe button, the thumbs up,
smash your significant
slap
others.
It.
You should be. You should smash. You gotta make sure.
Smashing is
also, in the words of the great Tony Stark, part of the journey is the end. We have come to the end of our show, but we will be back next week with Mount Rushmore of comedy sequels and the State of the Yankee, a very interesting State of the Yankees potentially next week.
Yeah, indeed.
I could go full Brian Man next week if the Yankees suck for the next 7 days, so we'll see.
We haven't had one of those in a little while. I mean, you started to get it a little bit, but not too bad.
Oh no! Listen, come on. There's only so much bad.
The Saudi money a little bit, and then Jack Del Rio a little bit, but not too bad. There was no like. Brian
Man.
No,
it wasn't. Right. Like in Beetlejuice,
yeah.
That's all I could think of when you did that.
All right, thank you guys for watching. We'll see you guys again next Monday. 9:30, 40 something ish. Monday.
Yeah. Oh sure.
Peace out.
Bye.
Bye.
Bye everybody.